Good evening, this is Atmospheric Alex here, and welcome back to another tropical weather outlook and discussion. We're finally past all the severe weather, at least I hope so, because over the past few days it has been very active, especially last night across North Dakota. But we're going to be talking about a big old tropical wave coming off of Africa, which could move into the Atlantic later next week and cause a lot of problems. And so we're going to start this off here with cyclonicweather.com on our satellite imagery here. This is basically looking at your infrared satellite, so stuff that you cannot see with your naked eye, because it's of course dark out in those areas right now. So what we're seeing here is all your deep convection and your storms pushing off of Africa. And so we're going to move on with weather-wise here, and we're going to take a look at our National Hurricane Center's hurricane outlook here. We are talking about a 40 to a 50% chance of tropical development in this orange area, and in this yellow area I think around 10 to 20%. I don't know the exact percentages, but it looks like actually that just got recently marked. That was not like that before. So that is our new system, believe it or not. Yes, our brand new system that is moving off of Africa, so we're going to have to watch out for that. And the Climate Prediction Center in your red and bright red areas definitely agree with this here, with a 20 to a 40% chance tropical development, albeit even further south, and we could get into a pattern similar to that when this wave moves through and afterwards. We may be getting into that later in the video, and then maybe something else back here as well that we were going to have to watch for way later down the pipeline. Alright, and you know exactly how this goes. We're going to start off with your sea surface temperatures. The legend is cut off. I'm well aware of this, so I'm going to try and enunciate and kind of annotate everything as we go. So it is absolutely boiling out there in the Gulf and even into portions of looks like the southwestern Atlantic here. We are definitely talking about sea surface temperatures upwards of 30 to 32 to even 33 degrees Celsius. That is in your upper 80s to almost low 90s. But there has been a station or two, or I should say a buoy or two, along the Florida coast here that has recorded a sea surface temperature of 100 degrees. Oh my goodness. Luckily, those are shelf waters, but we will be definitely talking about a lot of marine, biology disruptions and maybe some unwanted algae blooms in that area. But besides the point, if we go into more of our weather aspect here, with our tropical wave that is currently pushing off of Africa right here, where it is going to be moving supposedly kind of off in this general direction, we are going to see our sea surface temperatures start around, in the upper 70s to low 80s, but they are going to warm up quite a lot as we go more into our deep tropics here, just to the north of your lesser and greater Antilles, where we could see temperatures upwards in the mid 80s, a lot more favorable for cyclonic development. And another important feature here is all of your Saharan air pouring off of Africa right now, as you can see in your reds and even gray shaded areas, where we are definitely talking about a lot of dust, a lot of dry air, which is really inhibiting these systems. Like, for example, we have Invest 96L right here. This isn't really expected to do anything because it's going to be heading into that dry air pocket right there, and that is going to really stunt growth and development of thunderstorms. And so our wave back here as well, which, by that time will be right here, is also going to be moving into those dry and dusty airs right there that we're going to have to watch for. That could stunt development as well, and actually could cause a bit of a late bloomer way down the road, all the way we're talking about this, as we go, of course, past the Caribbean here, and a lot less dust out here in your southwestern Atlantic, like the Bahamas and Florida. We really are going to have to watch this system, because we could be talking about potentially a later stage of development, possibly, out further west. And speaking of this, we do not have much wind shear to talk about, so very favorable conditions as of right now that are going to be way ahead of this system. Of course, that will change, and I will show you all that as we head into our models. So we're going to start off with our European Ensemble model here, our EPS model for short, and basically every single individual red number here is a low pressure center on an individual member. So, this right here, this is, say, member 27, this could be member 40. This This is not 30 different low pressure systems or tropical systems forming. There is just one. This is just indicating what all the members are thinking, basically. But before we get too far ahead, let's rewind a bit, and you can see this is currently where it is, just off the coast here. Right there, and it is anticipated to do kind of a motion like that. You could see a bit of an effect going on where this thing does get slingshotted more to the north and comes off Africa at a pretty northerly latitude here, and really does miss those islands potentially. Again, that is not a forecast by any stretch, but you can just see how these move across the Atlantic, very tightly bundled here. This is not a guarantee for an out to storm recurve situation, or out to sea. My goodness, I can't talk this evening. But this right here, we could very easily see this continuing tracking off like this, but also we could see it track easily off like this. So only time will tell what winds up happening. What I can tell you is we have a massive high pressure system up here in all your blue colors that is going to provide our steering pattern here, just kind of like this. So in this scenario, our much stronger members here would be forced off to the north and away from the US. But again, things can definitely change. We could see this low pressure center that was down here stay really far south, and then we've got a lot to talk about. And it turns out all the overlays are working just fine. I just had to check that really quick. I wanted to make sure all the model information up here was available. And of course, this is all from tropicaltidbits.com from Levi Cowan. So we're going to take a look here at our European model, and this is going to be your simulated radar, basically like all your precipitation across your atmosphere. You could see your wave moving off of Africa down here, your L there, low pressure. And this does stay pretty far north, but it could impact some of the lesser and the greater Antilles possibly. But we are heading really far out at this point. This is August 16th, August 17th here. So please take this with a significant grain of salt. And I will continue to show you past this. Really, it all comes down to how you communicate the information. And what I'm going to tell you is, please do not put full stock into this model past really 8 days out, okay? Please. All I'm doing is I'm looking at potential scenarios that could occur and just, how this system may intensify with our background state realized. Again, I'm not forecasting this to head into the lesser greater Antilles, into the Bahamas, into the southeast US, or into the northeast. I'm not forecasting any of that. So, again, this is just simply going to be analysis here. But you could see, yes, the waters would be warm enough to support a hurricane out here, but definitely not a forecast by any means. Even a major, again, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. You could see how your steering currents here are playing a big role. You could see kind of a weaker high pressure system, and then you have this big low pressure system with this big front trail behind it. This system here is going to get picked up and flung off to the north and east through your path of least resistance. So if your high pressure was stronger, this may actually be nudged a little further westward and we'd be talking about problems. You can still see some problems though, but again, that's too far out. How about your wind shear map with this upcoming system? You can see it starts off relatively weak. We do have a bit of an anticyclone, and your lower level center is actually just to the south of it, so it is going to be getting battered with around 15 to 25 knot wind shear. But again, it could be a lot worse for this system, but this is going to cause it to struggle a lot at first, and perhaps even relocate its low pressure multiple times. So this is going to start off very slowly here. Then here you go. Look at this. A very strong anticyclone begins to develop above it. A lot of strong outflow, from this system here all the way around like spokes of a wheel. And that means it is breathing in and out. It is alive. It has a heartbeat. And yeah, it is ready to intensify when you see that. And indeed, and then you could see a little bit of wind shear starts impacting it. It becomes lopsided, but when it fixes itself, look at that. Absolutely incredible outflow characteristics here with this system. Something we're really going to have to watch if it gets strong enough. Now, how about our moisture here? This is your normalized precipitable water values. Basically average over, I believe, like 30 years or something like that. But we're definitely going to be talking about a large plume of moisture here pushing off of Africa. That's why we have all those showers and thunderstorms ongoing. And again, you have your low pressure system here, your main one. But again, you have this second secondary one a lot further south. And with all this moisture, you could really easily see a switch up in activity. You could see all your thunderstorms relocate down here in your center form right there. And let me tell you, even though your ensembles are tightly bundled on your northern solution here, I've seen it time and time again where all of a sudden it doesn't pick up your southern solution, and the next model run it shifts everything further south. So we really have to watch this, because if it forms down here, well, you know exactly where that thing is going. So keep your eyes on satellite imagery and the National Hurricane Center, of course. But you can see it struggles to find a center at first because of all your moisture. Too many thunderstorms are blowing up in that thing. And it really gets embedded in a tight moisture pocket. Some dry air tries to wrap around, but not as much as I thought, really. When I saw this earlier, the models were showing a lot more brown around our system, so this is going to be something to monitor for sure. And then you can see it being pretty healthy with yet another big plume of moisture as we move further westward here out into your southwestern Atlantic. Now, how about your GEFS ensemble here? Same song and dance. This goes really far north. Again, will that happen? We'll have to wait and see. I would start noticing and looking at some of your southern members if you're looking for a higher end scenario. If you're looking for a lower end impact scenario, you look at your northern members. So that's something to look at. So you can see this thing around the 13th into the 14th, moving across the empty space there. Have another tropical wave trying to form behind that one. Not a forecast. Strong high pressure system up here. And what that's going to do is it is going to allow for a potential recurve or maybe something a little further west. Again, not a forecast. Something I want to note. But you can see your southern solutions here pushing a lot further west towards the US. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if trends change, which they definitely can, they definitely will, that is going to be something to bear in mind. And then you know the rest of the story there. And our simulated precipitation here shows this thing tightening up extremely quickly. I am not buying that at all. I think it's going to struggle a lot at first due to dry air. And this is just absolutely ludicrous. A hurricane even before the Lesser Antilles, absolutely no shot of that happening. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. So the GFS going out to lunch, being a little bit cuckoo crazy, if you will, on our system, and it's weird, okay? Very bizarre, and something potentially emerging way late. Wind shear for this system actually does not look that great. Again, it does develop that anticyclone a little too early, but as things become more established, you could definitely see that is why it strengthens. Your precipitation map here, you can see your normalized PWatt values here, definitely quite elevated. But again, it's such a small system and your dry air is not far in front of it at all. If this thing starts moving too quickly or its center relocates in the wrong spot, it could be a bit disorganized for sure, and it can struggle. If it does struggle, it's not really going to follow your upper air patterns too well. Instead of your system, doing this, it might start doing this. So something to really watch. And then again, you can see dry air tries to wrap into it, but this is just way too finite this far out, and we're not going to talk about it yet. Now, for your Canadian model, again, we're just looking at different scenarios here, right? You can see this thing stays incredibly weak, so if you're wondering, in your heads, what if this doesn't develop any more thunderstorms and gets really attacked by that dry air? It's going to stay further south. What happens when that happens? Well, you can see it here, develops really late, and by the time it forms, it's already right on the doorstep of, say, the Bahamas and Florida. Not a forecast, but something that needs to be kept in mind. Again, what we really would like to see is a system forming really early on and strengthening early on so it follows your upper air pattern and can maybe do something like this. If it does not do that, it's going to go further west and take a lot more time to develop. So hopefully that all makes sense to you. Now, here's a pretty remarkable model here. This is your European AI model, and this has been stunningly stubborn lately, I guess is a good way to put it. Your system forms here, doesn't go as far north, and see, take a look at that. I will note that your high pressure system seems a little too strong. This model does have a bit of a model bias with it to where it can strengthen high pressure systems a little too much. So please keep that in mind. It's also lower resolution. But this thing really cruises it close to a lot of land areas here. And take a look at this. It definitely strengthens. And this model in particular shows potentially even a hurricane right over there. That is definitely something to look for. And yeah, I mean, that's what a westward scenario would do. It would land you in a lot of trouble right here. Let's just hope that doesn't happen, right? Again, stuff is too far out. I'd give it maybe like a 0.5% chance of happening, but I won't even blast out percentages because that's a little bit unprofessional in my opinion. What unfortunately is not unprofessional is how consistent this has been. So each time you see this thing flip-flop around as a model run. So we're going to go back here. This is in 6-hour increments here of when these runs initialized here at the same exact time. This is 2 a.m. August 19th, right? So we're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at it. It's still in that same area. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Still, we're talking about a tropical system in this general part of the Atlantic here, and it's not really changed much at all. Again, this is a few days ago, and it was showing basically the same exact scenario. And I'll even continue going back further, right? Making sure I'm hitting the right buttons. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This is 17 model runs ago, and it is still there in the Southwest Atlantic. Remarkable consistency. This thing is either going to be the most accurate model of all time or the least accurate model of all time. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible here, and I mean, if this is the future of AI models, I'm not really sure what to think. This could be potentially very accurate in the long run if this is correct. And yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, share us with friends and family on social media, and even feel free to also leave a comment in the section below if you enjoyed the video, of course. And with that being said, you all need to stay tropical weather aware. Could be talking about some issues later next week, this tropical wave, as it pushes a lot further off to the west here and the northwest. And again, if we see that southern scenario occur, that is going to be big time issues. Not a forecast, but things can change on a dime. All right, and you all have a wonderful night.